Hey, I'm Cece, and it is time for one of my least favorite parts of this game, being nice to these characters. I hate it. I hate being nice to them. But the last time we were here with Ellen, we were absolutely atrocious, and we were so rude, and we did not get very many endings. So I feel like the other ones are probably going to have to do with being nice and trying to be sympathetic. I hate it, but you know, we gotta do what we gotta do so we can get the endings, right? Okay, so this was our first choice. Last time we were super confrontational about it, and she was like, and then we got the little broken heart. So I guess this time we'll just be like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? I mean, that wasn't what it looked like. I couldn't believe she was gonna try to lie to my face. At the sight of my growing scowl, she put her hands up in a pacifying gesture. It really wasn't. I'll tell you everything, okay? I'll start from the beginning. Just let me explain. And then she bonks me over the head with her car and kidnaps me. Something that I thought of while I was editing, by the way, was she talks about how she just bound our hands with whatever she had lying around. So that was like cords and duct tape and zip ties. But she also had a dog cage with a head cut out so that we would fit in it. So, like, how are you going to say that this was so spur of the moment that you didn't have anything to tie our hands together with? But you just had a dog cage? A modified dog cage laying around? Come on. Come on, Ellen. I may be dumb, but I'm not stupid. Okay, so I guess we won't call her a bitch this time. Or we will, but for this character it'll be an internal insult. So why kidnap me? There we go, asking the important questions. She breathed in and held it for a moment, collecting herself before she continued speaking. And then she's gonna spout some bullshit about how she finds the fact that my husband kills people and does really horrible things with their bodies is fascinating and something she absolutely wants to emulate and is interested in for some reason. So I guess we'll eat her stupid muffin, the actual muffin, the leftover muffin, not like her muffin, but like the breakfast muffin in our dog bowl. I was a little hungry, and the muffin looked harmless enough. Despite how humiliating it was, I wriggled forward enough to lower my head into the bowl and nibbled at it. It tasted good, sweet, and a little buttery. I felt Ellen's hand gently stroking my hair as I ate. Good dog, fuck off. She spoke softly, her voice warm and affectionate. It was weird, but it was a little relaxing. And the bullshittery begins. I'm sorry, when people touch me, like, don't touch me. One, don't touch me. You didn't ask. I don't know you. Don't fucking touch me. But like, if I were in this situation, my captor touching me in any way, shape, or form would make me like want to vomit on the spot. Absolutely not. I would not be relaxed by any part of this situation. But then I noticed something moving in my mouth, wriggling against my tongue. Son of a bitch. What is with this woman and bugs? What is it with the bugs? Why the bugs? The bugs? I lifted my head so I could look down into the bowl. There were maggots squirming out of the muffin bread. Of course there were. Why wouldn't there be? They were small, no bigger than grains of rice, but they writhed together in sticky piles glistening with my saliva. How did she get maggots into the muffin? I retched, trying to spit everything out. My throat convulsed and my stomach twisted with nausea as I coughed up damp clumps of food. I felt dozens of soft, slender bodies brush against my tongue as they dripped from my mouth. Ugh. They splattered wetly in the bottom of the dog bowl, twitching with maggots. Aw. What did you do that for? What? I'm sorry, Ellen. I don't really like eating maggots. It's just like the one thing I always ask them to pick off in restaurants. I guess I'm just picky like that. Ellen stopped petting me. You didn't like it? You shouldn't be picky. I'm not going to get special food for you. I'm sorry. I don't have a fancy, refined palate, you know? Like, I just never got into eating maggots. I opened my mouth to speak and gagged, feeling more of the slimy larvae stuck to the roof of my mouth. I hurriedly spit them into the bowl and tried not to look at them. You put maggots inside of it. She stared down at the dog bowl and then at my face. Maggots? She looked down again as though confused. They're right there. Ellen stirred her finger around the bottom of the bowl gingerly. She touched some of them, but her expression didn't change. Jeez. Maybe I hit you too hard. Don't gaslight me. Don't gaslight me over some fucking maggots, Ellen. What the fuck, dude? Not having this. Not having the gaslighting thing. Fuck off with all that. Without a word, she took the bowl away, casting a pitying expression over her shoulder at me. She shook the bowl over a little plastic trash can in the corner, and then she left the room. I heard a sink running. She came back looking wary of me. Do you have a headache or anything? Maybe you're just concussed. Like, I'm already in the goddamn dog cage. Don't add insult to injury here, Ellen. I saw them. She brought the trash container over to me, tipping it so I could see inside. There were moist breadcrumbs in the bottom, but no maggots. Excuse you? False bottom. She put in a false bottom, like a magician, in the trash can. And it just, like, got rid of them. See? She shook her head and put it back in the corner. Maybe I should go a little easy on you. I don't want you breaking this early. I swallowed nervously. The taste of the muffin was the only thing that lingered in my mouth, but I was sure they'd been real. Hadn't they been? Why don't you just relax, unless she drugged us? That would make sense. She probably drugged us. Ellen sat down at her desk and turned away from me. I have to do something anyway. Now she's grading. I guess let's just not talk to her and look around her apartment room. It was a little disorienting to look at everything from low on the ground, but I tried to get my bearings. The room was much more organized and tidy than I expected for a college student living alone, and it didn't give me a good sense of who she was. I wondered if she had much of a personal life outside of school. She had a photograph on her desk. I couldn't see very clearly from where I was, but I thought I could make out someone who looked like Ellen with her arms wrapped around a large dog. There was also a tall glass jar. Sometimes she bumped it with her elbow while working. There was something dark gathered at the bottom of it. Is that the goddamn cricket? It looked like it was moving. That's absolutely the cricket. We're not going to ask about the cricket because then she's going to try to stuff it in our head. So we'll ask about the dog. Do you have a dog? She's going to turn around. She's going to be like, yes, silly, you, duh. And I'm going to punch her in the face. I don't know. Ellen finished whatever she was typing before she turned around to look at me. Her eyes wandered my body appraisingly, and I felt uncomfortable. Of course. You're my dog. No, I looked pointedly at the picture next to her. She followed my gaze. Oh. No. I don't have that one anymore. That's why I had an empty kennel laying around, with a head hole cut out of it. Before I could ask anything else, her computer made a high-pitched pinging noise, and she turned her back to me again. Suddenly, Ellen froze, and that's our husband telling her she can fuck right off. You canceled on him? I was relieved, of course, but I was also confused. I'd almost forgotten all about that little exchange between them. Even if Jack had no intention of sleeping with her, Ellen was clearly interested in him. I was surprised she would back out. I panicked. Her voice was pitched higher than usual, hoarse and trembling. He's going to be suspicious because you aren't home and he won't be able to reach you. I don't know if I can lie to his face. He's good at seeing through people. This is horrible. I mean, isn't it equally as suspicious that his wife goes missing and this creepy student that is stalking him cancels their plans on the same day? Like, come on, Ellen. Use your noggin. Like I said, I may be dumb, but I'm not stupid. It seems like she might be. He's going to know, and he's going to kill me, and... Oh, God. No, he's going to do so much worse. This was such a mistake. I never should have taken you. He's never going to forgive me. That's exactly what I was saying. Like, taking the one person he cares about and doing torture to them and potentially killing them is not going to endear her to him. It's just going to make him want to torture her more. Like, you can still fix this. I tried to reassure her. It doesn't have to be like this. Let me go and it'll be okay. I saw her swallow nervously, eyes darting around the room in search of something. No, I can't. I can't do that. Can't trust you. I have to take care of this myself. I can do this. She went back to her desk, nearly tripping over her own feet in her haste. You're going to help me relax. Swear to God. Yeah, and there's the cricket. She's just like freaking out because Buchanan is going to come after her and murder her, and she feels like she needs to take care of this, and she can't let me go. So what does she do instead? Stuff a cricket in my ear. That's productive. That helps the situation. This is absolutely going to get you out of a jam, Ellen. Great thinking. Okay, so we're going to sit still so she doesn't stab us in the ear. And I guess we're going to ask for food because we didn't ask last time. Ellen? There was a pause, then her footsteps came closer. She poked her head through the doorway of her room. Do you mind if I... Recognition crossed her face. Oh, poor thing. I forgot to make lunch for either of us. I'm so sorry, that was really irresponsible of me. She patted across the room and leaned down, reaching for me. I flinched, unsure of what to expect. She stroked my hair gently, just like she had before. I'll be right back, okay? You can have as much as you want. Ellen crouched down briefly to kiss my forehead, and then she left the room again. So I feel like she's treating us super affectionately like she would a dog, because, like, she has a framed picture of her and a dog on her desk, right? Like, obviously she likes dogs, and she keeps calling us dog, and she's viewing us like a dog. But on the same hand, she put a cricket in our ear. So what did she do to this dog? Did she put crickets in that dog's ear? Did she kill that dog? I bet she killed that dog. This blonde-haired, blue-eyed bitch. I hadn't expected anything like that at all, but at least she wasn't angry. She came back a few minutes later carrying a large dinner plate with macaroni and mashed potatoes, heavy comfort foods. She scraped half of it into the dog bowl and set it down in front of my face. Do we dare risk it again? Because there was maggots in it last time. Guess we'll eat it. I was too hungry to care about how embarrassing it was, shoving my face in the bowl. I was ecstatic to have a real meal. I felt comfortable now that Ellen seemed calmer too. I heard her sit down at her desk. When I glanced up, she was looking me in the eye, but I felt like she didn't really see me. Her gaze was somewhat distant. Good dog, fuck off. She said it so softly I almost didn't hear her. We ate dinner together in peace and quiet. After cleaning up, Ellen turned most of the lights off except for a little lamp on her bedside table. You should get some sleep. I'm going to wake you up early tomorrow. Yeah. And then she does horrible shit to us again. Okay. But first... She turned away, grabbing the dog bowl from behind her. If she tries to make me eat bugs, I'm going to flip. There was another muffin in it. I looked up and she smiled, giving me an encouraging pat on the head. Go on. I'm sorry. I can't resist. You can't give me an option like this and expect me to not take it. Oh, I'm going to bite the shit out of her. I couldn't believe it. She honestly thought I was going to fall for this again. My stomach churned at the memory of the maggot squirming around in my mouth. I hadn't imagined it. I was sure of it. And I wasn't going to go through that again. Ellen was relaxed as I lowered my head into the bowl, pretending to eat. She scratched under my chin. She wasn't expecting it at all when I turned and sunk my teeth into her hand. Screaming, she clutched my shoulder and tried to pry me off of her. I bit down harder, blood welling up around my teeth. The coppery taste flooded my mouth as she shoved her palm into my face. I only let go when she tried to jam her fingers into my eye, throwing my head back and spitting blood and skin into the dog bowl. Ellen scrambled to her feet a safe distance away, clutching her bloodied hand to her chest. She was shaking. Get wrecked. Fuck you, Ellen. I froze, waiting for her to hit me or yell at me. But she never did. She took a deep breath and held it for a few seconds, then let out a pleasant sigh. That was very bad. She's going to pepper spray me again, isn't she? I'm not sure you'll be getting any dinner. She left the room briefly, returning a moment later with her hand glistening with dampness as she hurriedly wrapped a bandage around the wound. I was surprised. She really was calmer than yesterday. You're still not getting out of what I have planned today. Yep, and then she does awful shit. This isn't going to help you understand him, but she's going to be like, au contraire, mon frere. He does this same shit with other people, so of course this is going to help me understand him. So, quit it now. I knew she was getting nervous. Underneath her obsession, she was just a regular girl. She wasn't used to doing things like this. You have to stop now, Ellen. Just let me go, and... She sunk the blade into my finger, driving it all the way through my flesh. She hit the underside of my nail and forced it to arch upward, tearing it out of the nail bed. Ugh, still gives me the jeebies. Blood oozed out of the corners. I choked on a scream, tears welling up in my eyes at the piercing pain. She watched me, her expression frustrated, as if this wasn't enough for her. Are we gonna die again? Maybe not. Okay, so she's still cutting our leg. Blood welled up from around the blade and spattered over my body. Tears ran down my face, and when Ellen saw I was crying, she hesitated. The knife stilled suddenly, still buried in my leg. The numbness had settled in enough that I didn't think I could speak anymore, but I still tried. It felt like talking around a mouthful of cotton, but she didn't move, listening intently. I chose my words carefully. I mean, this is what I've been saying all along. He'll never accept you if you kill me, because... that's his job, I guess. We all know that Jack is a huge hypocrite, and if he doesn't like something, he's not gonna like it unless he does it. Like humor. He doesn't like when people are funny until he tries to be funny, and then it's fucking hilarious. So he's not gonna be happy with her killing me. The only person allowed to do that is him. Duh. He's going to be upset, and everything you've done will be for nothing. Her grip around the knife handle became shaky again. She knew I was right. Her hands rose to her face, trembling. I saw her frantically wipe away fresh tears. I really am a coward. I wanted to reassure her it wasn't cowardice, but a conscience that was holding her back, but I didn't have the strength. My leg was bleeding profusely and my body was still paralyzed by whatever she'd injected me with. I stared up at the ceiling of Ellen's room and wondered how it came to this. Who had she been before she became obsessed with my husband? Did she have a future after this? Did I? Probably not. My eyelids felt heavy, the adrenaline that had rushed through me before turning into a wave of exhaustion. I needed to rest. I just hoped I would wake up. I couldn't tell how long I'd been asleep. I was groggy, and my body still felt heavy. I heard movement around me. I brought you dinner. Oh, thanks, Ellen. Let's see what kind of fantastic bug you put into this one. I closed my eyes. There was a blanket draped over my body, and I was laying on my stomach again. My leg was still aching, but it didn't hurt quite as badly. It seemed she stitched the wound shut. Ellen sat beside me on the floor holding a plate instead of a dog bowl with a microwavable tray on it. She tried to smile, but it was weak and reluctant. I hope you don't mind if I feed you. I don't want to untie you yet. Probably a good idea. And while you eat, I want to explain everything. She shifted the food around with a fork before she stuck the tines through a chunk of it and held it up to my mouth. Reluctantly, I accepted it. Professor Buchanan was the first person I really connected with in the department. I transferred into the graduate program a year ago, so I didn't know anybody here. It was a little lonely. He was teaching one of the required courses, so it was inevitable that we'd meet at some point. She fed me another couple bites as she spoke. At first, he struck me as very stern and unsympathetic. He could be harsh at times in both his demeanor and the way he graded exams. But there was one day, maybe halfway through the first semester, where something came up, and I knew I would miss a lot of class. I was afraid to even tell him, but I had to let him know I would be gone. So I went to talk to him during his office hours, and he was so kind. He told me not to worry about class until I came back and that he would help me review everything I had missed. He let me borrow one of his books. He said it's important that we allow ourselves a certain amount of space and time to gather up all of our most harmful thoughts and give them a proper burial. I think he must do that too. By the time she'd finished telling the story, I'd almost cleared the plate. Ellen set it down and rested her hands on her lap. Oh, was the food okay? Sorry, I ran out of fresh ingredients. It was fine, just a little... I didn't want to complain, but it had left a bitter taste in my mouth. Probably because she drugged it. She crushed something into it, and that's the bitter taste. And she's gonna go dump us somewhere. I don't know. I was starting to get a little dizzy and nauseated. Do you feel sick? It tasted kind of funny, didn't it? She reached over and I thought she was going to pet me. Instead, she took a fistful of my hair and tugged me upright so I looked her in the eye. What you're tasting is cyanide, you ungrateful sack of shit. Tight. Ellen got to her feet and kicked me hard in the side. I tried to curl up to protect myself, but it didn't matter. I was starting to have trouble breathing, wheezing to get air into my lungs, and my stomach was twisting painfully. What kind of awful animal bites its owner for trying to feed it? You thought I was just going to let that go? I don't think you understand how much that hurt me. She kicked me again, and the blow to my stomach made me retch, gagging on the bile creeping up in my throat. My vision was blurring and darkening around the edges. I felt cold and clammy, breaking out in a cold sweat. I was starting to lose consciousness. Ellen gripped me by the hair again so she could watch my eyes flutter shut, making me arch my back painfully. I was just starting to like you, but I don't want a horrible bad dog like you. I felt my body hit the floor when she let go, every sensation becoming sharp and overwhelming. She kept hitting me, not content to simply let me die of poisoning. What is she anticipating on doing with me when she's done? Like, where is she going to put me? Where am I going to go? Like, there is no way in hell she's going to get away with this. She's like 1,000% going to get taken by Jack. I mean, that'll be our small consolation in this, that Jack is going to fucking find out and he's going to get her. And then maybe he'll just drop dead of grossness. Her knuckles smashed into my nose and I smelled blood, sharp and acrid, for just a moment. Then everything faded. I was a bad dog. Shame. Shame on me. Alright, so I guess I won't fucking bite her this time. I just won't have any fun. Hesitantly, I took a small nibble, pausing to look down at the muffin. No maggots. Maybe I really had imagined it. No, we didn't. Don't let her gaslight you into thinking that there wasn't fucking bugs in it. There was. Ellen stroked my cheek as I wolfed down the rest of it eagerly. I winced when I felt something sharp slice into my tongue. My nervous inhale sucked it in further, and it scraped painfully against the inside of my throat. I gagged when I tasted blood in the back of my mouth and started heaving in a panic. When am I going to learn that these muffins cannot be trusted? Nothing that she hands me, no food that she gives me can be trusted. What's wrong? Are you choking? Fuck off, Ellen. I coughed and sputtered. There were more of them, sharp, metallic things cutting up the inside of my mouth. One was lodged in my gums between my teeth, and I whimpered, trying to force it out with my tongue. I spat a mouthful of blood and 3 razor blades into the dog bowl. Oh no, you're sick. Ellen patted my back gently. There, it's okay. It wasn't okay at all. The razors were real. They had to be. My mouth was stinging, and I was swallowing more of my own blood. Why? I was trembling. Every time I thought I understood her and knew what she was going to do, I turned out to be wrong. She rubbed between my shoulder blades and made soft, soothing sounds. Hush, it's okay. What a good dog. Very trusting. She brushed my hair back behind my ear and kissed my cheek. That's what Dr. Buchanan likes about you. She left to clean out the bowl. I was shaken up, but now I was sure I hadn't imagined the maggots in the food from yesterday. She was doing this on purpose, trying to get me to break down. Even though I knew now, I was still trembling, running my tongue over the bloody lacerations in my mouth. She was one of Jack's students, after all. She knew what made people tick. She probably knew how to break them, too. I feel like you don't need a degree in psychology to know how to do that, though. Is that just me? That felt really morbid to say. But I mean, come on. You're still not getting out of what I have planned today. Yeah. So this one, made her mad. And this one, I don't know. I don't know if it just didn't do anything because we bit her. Maybe that's just always the ending you get when you bite her. So I guess I'll try this one and then go back and do the other one. Yeah. Ellen hesitated. I felt the blade nick my skin, but it didn't go in any further. You're probably right. She moved the knife away. I thought I could do this slowly and get into your head, but there's no time for that. I need results now, and you don't know enough to be helpful. If you would just accept me. And then she kills me. It's fine. You already understand him. If everything you've told me is true, then you know Jack better than I ever have. What else is there to know? What could he tell you that you haven't already learned on your own? She shook her head. No, I don't know enough. There's more. He could tell me so much more. Are you saying you're happy like this? You don't care that your husband is barely more than a stranger you share a bed with? I feel like if we get defensive, then she's gonna get defensive and it's gonna end in a death. Right? Let's see. I know enough to be satisfied with our marriage. Ellen said nothing for a long time. The terrible pain in my leg had subsided to a dull throb, my body slowly adjusting to the wound she gouged into my thigh. I inhaled sharply when she suddenly grasped the knife again and wrenched it free from the wound, tearing something as she went. There's still one more thing I want to know. What does it feel like, sleeping with him? And I'm asking honestly this time. I've never been with anyone before, so why wouldn't you start with a man who likes to have sex with dead people. That sounds like a really good, safe place to start. Like a good headspace. You're going to get a good feel of how it'll be from now on with other people. Super normal. It's a good choice. Her question was unpleasantly intrusive, but she really did look embarrassed. Does he kiss your neck? It seems like something that would feel nice. Or is he not much for foreplay? She paused, staring at me. I mean, it doesn't seem like he really cares for anything past putting his dick in it. I'm sorry. She really expected me to answer. Kisses on the neck are fine. Oh, I guess the neck is really sensitive. She took a deep breath and let it out slowly. Maybe I'll try that. On who? She shifted up closer to my head, the knife still in her hand. Not on me. Not on me. No. I watched her lean over me, her bangs curtaining her face. She was blushing terribly. No, don't come at me. Just a little bit. No. It's okay. She pressed her lips to the side of my neck in a quick, nervous gesture that I barely felt, pulling back quickly and averting her eyes. You're really warm. Yeah, let's keep it that way. Emboldened, she tried again, more forcefully this time. Her lips were soft as she trailed them down my neck. Embarrassingly, I inhaled sharply when her teeth scraped my skin. It made her happy. She let out a pleased, breathy laugh and crawled on... Oh, God. One of her hands held onto my shoulder. She nibbled lightly at the same sensitive spot, and I tried to bite back a moan. She literally just stabbed us in the leg. We have a gigantic knife wound. But, priorities. What she lacked in experience, she made up for with passion. Ew, she's giving us a hickey? That's so high school. Nobody gives hickeys. Stop. I felt her give a shuddered breath before her mouth was replaced by something not nearly as soft. Is she gonna cut us with the knife? The knife dug into my throat painfully. Ellen, what? She pulled the knife across my throat in a harsh, ragged motion, shredding painfully through my flesh, sawing back and forth until blood sprayed on her face. Her lips were parted and her face was still flushed as she pulled back far enough that she could look me in the eye. She kept jerking the blade back and forth, slicing through my neck. I felt blood dripping down my chest and saw her chase the droplets with her gaze, licking her lips. I understand now. Oh, it all makes sense. I should have listened to him from the beginning. It feels so good. The teeth of the blade became lodged in a fleshy membrane, and she tugged several times to tear it free. She slit something that left me choking as I tasted blood welling up in the back of my throat. Somehow, everything seemed colder. My vision started to blur. I felt Ellen moving, grinding her... Gross. Her breathing was... Oh, I have to tell him about this. He'll be ecstatic. I don't think that's true. I genuinely do not believe that's going to be the outcome here. I couldn't keep my eyes open, but I felt her kiss me again, on the mouth this time. I tasted my own blood on her lips. The last thing I heard was a soft, grateful whisper. Thank you. Fuck off, Ellen. You told me everything I needed to know. Fuck off, Ellen. All right, so this time I'm just going to be like, nah, stop it. We're not going to do that, Ellen. The fuck? I want to understand Jack too, Ellen. I woke up the other day thinking I knew my husband. I thought something was wrong and I let those worries get the best of me. Now, I don't know what to believe. But I don't want to die like this. I want to go home and I want to see him again because I know there are things I don't understand about him. And I don't care what secrets he's keeping. I want to know what they are. You really don't. I want to understand him. You really, really don't. Okay. So she's feeding us now. I just shrugged. I really hadn't minded. Ellen reached out, but her hand stopped in midair, hovering over my head. She pulled it back without touching me and looked away. Things can't stay like this, can they? I can't just keep you here anymore. I shook my head. It's been 2 days. Jack must have reported me missing by now. People will be looking, and they'll look here eventually. She nodded. I could tell she was afraid, but she was handling it better than usual. If I let you go tomorrow, would you tell anyone about what happened? No. She laughed, not giving me a chance to answer. No, never mind. I can't expect you to answer that honestly. Oh, come on. I absolutely would not tell anyone. What are you going to do with me? She studied my face for a long time, like she hadn't ever really looked at it before. I don't know. I'll decide in the morning. She didn't sit up in bed with papers or books, but I saw she was staring at the ceiling. I was nervous about the morning, too. I knew she was capable of doing the right thing. I just didn't know if she would. It took a long time for either of us to fall asleep. I woke when Ellen turned the lights on, squinting up at the ceiling. She was sitting on the edge of her bed, dark circles under her eyes. It looked like she hadn't slept at all last night. I have to teach a class today, so I can't stay home. And I don't really want to leave you here by yourself. She was tapping her fingers against her leg nervously. I stayed up all night just thinking about you in the last couple days, about Dr. Buchanan. And I guess I came to some sort of conclusion. I just don't know if it's the right one. Slowly, she got up and walked over to her desk. There was a reluctance in her movements, and there was something almost ominous about her somber expression, something very final. She rummaged through the drawers. She turned around with a sculpting knife in her hand. Come on. My heart sank, and I was begging her to stop. Please don't. But she straddled me and pinned me to the floor under her, dragging my arms up so she could reach my hands. She started to cut the bindings off my wrists. You've been a very good dog, but you've overstayed your welcome. It's time for you to go home. I don't trust you. I wondered if I was still asleep, still dreaming. You're letting me go? I heard something tearing. She struggled to cut through some of it, but she kept at it while we talked. I brought you here hoping you could help me understand Jack a little better, but that didn't really happen. I think, if anything, I learned a lot about you. You're just as fascinating as he is, maybe even more. Why? The last of the ties holding my wrists together snapped apart, and I sighed in relief, gently touching the irritated skin with my fingertips. Why would I be more interesting? Like, I don't know why I'm offended by that, but I'm kind of offended by that. Like, what is it about me that wants you to learn more of the inner machinations of my mind than a serial killer who is a necrophiliac? I feel like that needs a little bit more studying, not me. Ellen climbed off of me to separate my ankles, and I looked down at my body at her. And I think maybe you started to understand me too. Just a little bit. When she'd taken care of the ties on my ankles, she got up and retrieved a stack of clothes from her closet. I recognized them as mine. I couldn't believe it. I was really going home. Maybe. I still don't trust you. Ellen sat back down on her bed and watched me as I dressed. She knew people would be asking questions, wondering where I'd been. She knew I'd have to tell them something. She was hoping for some kind of reassurance that I would keep everything that happened a secret, but I didn't want to lie to her. I hadn't decided yet what I would do. There was something more important that had to happen first. Your husband is a good man, but you're very, very good. Is he a good man? You're both very lucky. I didn't know what to say to that. I don't either. Ellen seemed further disheartened by my silence. When I was dressed, she led me to the front door. I stepped out onto the porch and turned to look back at her. Thank you. You did the right thing. Despite the regret I already saw shining in her eyes, she brightened up. I thought I saw something on her face I'd seen before when we first met, a sort of warmth and longing. Oh, great, now she's gonna stalk us. She smiled, took one of my hands in hers, and just held it for a few moments. She let go slowly, one finger at a time. I looked back as I walked away. Oh, she is absolutely going to stalk us. She was still watching me in one of the windows. I was nervous, my body was sore and aching, but I was focused on getting home. I had to talk to Jack before I did anything else. I had to know if anything of what Ellen had said was true. And if it was, I had to figure out where we went from there. I wasn't reluctant to confront him anymore, and I wasn't dreading it. No matter what he was doing, I was determined to listen and understand before I made any decisions. That's a really high bar to set. Like, whatever you're doing, babe, I'll sit and I'll listen before we do anything. We'll get through this. Like, fucking what? But for some reason, I couldn't shake the feeling that I hadn't been let go. Not really. Hesitantly, I looked back one more time. Ellen smiled. The curtain quietly fell back into place. Yeah, no. This is absolutely going to turn into a crazy stalker situation, just like it is with Jack. Okay, so there was some dialogue options that we had in the never accept you one that I'm wondering if that would change anything. Okay, so this was, she fed us, she said she had to get rid of us. She's rummaging through her desk, but this time she gets a syringe. I tried to shrink back from her, heart pounding in my chest, but she crossed the room and rolled me onto my stomach, straddling my body. I'm sorry. Please hold still. Stay. I twisted and kicked and tried to arch my back to push the weight on top of me. She shoved my head down, forcing my face into the carpet. Ellen, don't do this. I have to. She sounded a little panicked, but more than that, she sounded sad. I won't let those last 2 days go to waste. I can still learn something. I can still understand Dr. Buchanan. I felt the needle plunge into the side of my neck, but I kept trying to fight her, desperate to get away before paralysis set in again. She dug her knees into my sides and dug the heel of her palm into my back, bruisingly hard. Don't be scared. Don't worry. Your death is going to mean something. Your body is going to be used in the pursuit of knowledge. That really does not make me feel any better. Her fingertips slid over the back of my neck, and I shivered. I'll be so good to it, I promise. My limbs started to feel heavy, but rather than feeling immobile, I was starting to feel exhausted. It was hard to keep my eyes open. What did you give me? Something different. I'll have to give you a few more doses after this, but you won't feel those. You won't feel anything. I don't want it to hurt you. Her voice grew hoarse. You see? I took such good care of you right to the very end. So don't worry, I'll be right here until you close your eyes. I won't leave you alone. Fucking Ellen. She was talking more to herself than to me now, muttering incoherently. I didn't understand what she was talking about. It was hard to understand anything, the whole world gradually getting darker. I was warm and comfortable underneath her. I was scared, but I wasn't in any pain. Ellen was telling the truth. She really did stay until my eyes closed for the very last time. Yay, I guess. Okay, so I've started doing the middle path, like not all the way asshole, but like not all the way super nice and compliant. And this is, I think, the second day, and we asked her if we could eat something. And she said no. Yeah, I kind of do mind. You didn't want breakfast. That came off as pretty ungrateful. Oh, I guess it's still the first day, but whatever. You get my point. I don't think I can reward that kind of behavior. She left, and I sighed, trying to ignore my growling stomach. When she came back, she sat down to eat at her desk with her back turned to me. She already seemed annoyed, so I left her alone. Okay, so I guess we did this one already. We know how this ends, so we'll do the other one and die, because our health is very low. Oh, I guess that makes sense. She was staring pointedly at my... Oh no. It must feel nice. She tilted her head curiously, scooting closer. No, don't do that. Don't do that. She started to undo the ties holding my ankles together. Don't do that. Oh no, don't do that. Nope, don't do that. Oh, nope. Mm-mm. Nope, 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 nope. And the knife is there. Great. Don't do that. She pushed the knife. Oh, great. Cool. Cool. That's where knives go. My instinct screamed at me to curl up and protect myself, but I couldn't do anything. Oh, no. No. Oh, cool. Now she's stabbing me in the stomach. I can see why Dr. Buchanan enjoys this so much. Ugh, it's amazing. Ugh. When my eyes started to flutter, I let them shut. The sensation of blood rushing out of my body was almost welcome as she continued to open me up, dragging the knife through my abdomen. I didn't want to feel anything anymore. As my breath grew shallower, I felt the dull sensation of her hands plunging into my open chest, and I heard a whisper. Fuck. Thank you for showing me this. I really didn't have a choice in the matter. I think finally I understand. Great, so good for you. So earlier, we were looking at her desk and we saw a picture of the dog and a jar with what I can only assume is a cricket or some sort of other awful, nasty bug in it. And we did not ask about the jar because I didn't want her to take it out and try to stuff it in my ear. So guess we'll ask about it this time. What is that? Ellen glanced over her shoulder, looking impatient. I craned my neck to gesture towards the jar. These are my crickets. I thought she might have been joking, but she sounded matter-of-fact about it. The mass at the bottom of the jar was more than one object, I realized, looking at it again. They were moving over each other and hopping around, tapping against the glass. Why do you have a jar of crickets? Everyone needs hobbies. I decided I didn't want to ask anything else. Ellen seemed satisfied by my silence and went back to work. Okay, thank you, Ellen. That was so insightful. Uh-oh. So, I have to kill you, and then, yeah, so she's all talking about how she wants to understand Dr. Buchanan, and I was like, this isn't gonna help you understand him, and she's just like, oh, yes, it will. And then we ran out of sanity. I didn't want this. I didn't want to hurt anymore. I didn't want her to yell at me. I felt so trapped. Unable to stop myself, I started to cry. Ellen stopped what she was doing and backed off immediately, giving me space. I was shaking and sobbing so hard that I could barely talk, but I called her name. There was no one else to call out to. Oh, no, don't cry. She covered her mouth with her hand as if in disbelief. No, hush, poor thing. She wrapped her arms around me and ran a hand through my hair, petting me softly. It's okay. That's all you can take, isn't it? It's okay. I couldn't stop crying, but she felt so warm and nice. I didn't mind being held by her. My sobs subsided as she continued to soothe me. That's it, just relax. Does it feel good? Do you like it when I pet you? No. I trembled. I did like it. I told myself I did. At the very least, I guess I can trick myself into thinking so. I wanted her to like me. I wanted her to be nice to me. I thought everything would be okay if I just behaved. If I could be a good dog. Yes, I like it. I'm so glad. I like petting you. She sounded so happy. Let's not worry about anybody else right now. I think we can be happy just like this for a while. I'll have to get you your own collar. Why? What is it with these people and keeping me as a pet? Like, why? Why? That was fine. I was okay with that. Ellen was smiling, so I felt like I could smile. She seemed happy. That's all that really mattered. Tight. All right, that is it for Miss Ellen Klein. That's it. She's done. That is all of her endings. So now, we just gotta deal with Fuckface over here. And he's only got 3. So hopefully, his will get knocked out very quickly next time. And I hope to see you then.
All of my exes were crazy. I'm sure you've